How can I get my class to listen without raising my voice? Join us as we dive into this real life teacher question. Well, welcome back to the Teach for the Heart podcast, where we tackle teaching challenges from a biblical perspective. This episode is brought to you in partnership with the Herzog Foundation. I'm here today with Ashley, one of our team members and Teach for the Heart Plus mentors, and we want to answer this question by a teacher. She says, I am a first-year Spanish teacher. I am not an authoritative personality, and I do not have a loud voice. How can I get my class to respect me without raising my voice? They get derailed and like to say things to get attention from their peers while I'm teaching. I have a student with ADD who will not stop taking the bait from students around him. So he's constantly turning around, talking to people despite constant redirection. All right, Ashley, this is such a great question. I think one a lot of us can relate to. What are your initial thoughts on this one?
The first thing that I thought of was that comment about I'm not a naturally, I don't have like a naturally loud voice, and I'm like a naturally authoritative person. And I wanted to say, I really believe we have teaching personalities and that we can find ways to operate and manage our classrooms within our personality. So I guess I first kind of just wanted to bust the myth that there's one right way and one style of teaching that will get all of the students to listen all of the time. That's just not true. So I think when you're looking at a problem like this, it's okay to lean into the way God made you and find ways to work from that personhood that God made you to be. And so I guess I would just encourage you to think through what would feel comfortable, what would feel like it fits your personality. Yes, you need a plan. Yes, you need to know what to do to get this under control, but it might not look the way you think.
Yes. And I know I totally can relate to this because I am not like a naturally authoritative person. And I think
Hmm.
a lot of teachers are like that. A
Yeah.
lot of us are. And so we, though, do have to be intentional, right? We can't
Yes.
just be like, oh, I'm just going to naturally command authority. We don't,
Uh-uh.
but we can by learning skills and by having a plan and by
Hmm.
growing our confidence. And I think that that's a key piece of this is that especially when you're a newer teacher or a younger teacher or just an unconfident in your own abilities, students pick up on our lack of confidence. If
Yes.
we are thinking, I don't really know what to do, I'm not sure my kids are going to listen to
Mhm.
me. I don't know what it is, but that telegraphs, like they
Yes.
can sense that. I don't care if they're first grade or seniors in high school. Like kids, I don't know. It's just we're sending
Yes.
these signals that say, I don't know what I'm doing. You can probably get away with stuff. And some of it just comes out in our actions, right? We're not
Yeah.
consistent. We let stuff go. And students just pick up on that and they try more and more and more. So I think
Mhm.
what's important is kind of, as you said, you have to have a plan. You have to know, well, how am I going to deal with it? And it doesn't have to be
Yeah.
screaming at the kids.
Mm-mm.
It can be a lot of other things maybe we can talk about. But you do have to have, okay, this is how I'm going to deal with it. And then you have to say, okay, now that I know I'm going to deal with it, I'm going to be confident. I'm going to project confidence. Even though if I'm not feeling it, I'm going to be confident in what I've decided. I'm going to be consistent. And as you do that, students start to then see, okay, they are being consistent. They're going to deal with this the same way. I guess I actually
Mhm.
can't get away with all the stuff that I thought I did. And that is kind of this key. It's like under the surface, it's kind of underrated, but that makes such a big difference in how students perceive us and respond
Mhm.
to us. This episode is brought to you in partnership with the Herzog Foundation. It's a new year, and that means brand new resources from the Herzog Foundation for Christian Educators. Their full calendar of events is now live at herzogfoundation.connect.space. The Herzog Foundation Institute offers free training events designed specifically for educators like you. In partnership with organizations like Answers in Genesis and the Museum of the Bible, these trainings provide hands-on strategies, biblical resources, and practical classroom tools to help you integrate faith and learning every day. And the best part, they are completely free for you and your school or homeschool group. Whether you're looking for fresh inspiration for your classroom or professional development to grow your ministry, the Herzog Foundation is here to help. Find an event near you at herzogfoundation.connect.space. Now back to our conversation. So, Ashley, do you have any thoughts on this teacher, obviously the next question though is like, well, what do I do about it? And
Yeah.
this is where there's not one right answer, right? Like you said, it
Yeah.
can really depend on your personality, what you're comfortable with, the age of your students, what kind of school you're at. But what are some ways that this teacher might be able to handle some of these things?
So I think that there's kind of having a plan for how am I going to handle chatter in my classroom? And then you can follow that plan. And that can look different. Um, Again, like you said, based on personality, based on things. But the other thing you can do is sometimes that chatter plan doesn't seem to be working for that one student, right? You've got like the student with ADD or ADHD who just keeps taking the bait, taking the bait. And I've found that the best resource for helping students like that is the student themselves. So
Mm.
pulling the student aside uh, without other people around. So like after class, keeping them after class, and then being really honest. And again, this depends on age. I'm a secondary teacher, so I think at higher levels, then this might not work with a kindergartner, but pulling them aside and saying, here's what I'm seeing. And just very non-emotionally, you respond to other students while I'm talking. You can't seem to listen when I'm talking. You can just really non-emotionally describe what you're observing, just observable things, and then say, this is like I found, depending on my relationship with the student, I will sometimes even say, that feels really disrespectful to me. Like, I know that I don't think you mean it that way, but when you talk over me, I feel really disrespected. And then saying, what can I do to help you focus in class? And then giving them a chance to come up with their own solution. Sometimes you will be shocked at what they come up with. Sometimes it's, well, it's really hard for me because it's right after lunch and whatever. Or, well, it's hard for me because it's at the end of the day. Sometimes they'll be like, I just need to sit. They'll literally ask. I've had students ask me, well, I just think I need to move my seat, Miss Hills. It's just not working. And okay, I'll move. And then it comes from the kid. It doesn't feel punitive. It feels supportive. So that's one option. And the kid might say, I have no idea. And that's fine. Then you're the teacher, you're the adult, you have to come up with the solution. But I found that to be really effective.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. I love that idea for dealing with those really specific students. That's so great. And as you were talking, I was also thinking how it's important to also clarify what is the expectation, right?
Yes.
Sometimes we skip over that step. We think, oh yeah, I know what I want expect of my students. They know what to expect, but sometimes we actually haven't. Especially something as simple as talking.
Yeah.
Very few teachers want no talking ever. Normally there's
Yeah.
times where you do want them to talk, right? You want them to work in small groups, or maybe you want to have a class discussion. Maybe you don't want blurting, but you want them to anyhow, like we don't always clarify in our mind, like when are they allowed to talk? How much is appropriate? When, like, where is the line? And I think thinking that
Mhm.
through is really helpful too. Because sometimes we let a lot go because we're like, it's not a big deal. But then the line gets really, really fuzzy. So thinking through like,
Yeah.
where is the line? What should it look like? So you know when to, and then it's like every time they cross it, I'm going to have a response. And I will link, we don't have time to get into it in this episode, but we do teach a warning system, which can be a really good method, especially for elementary through middle school. It can work for high school too. So we'll link in the notes to that video that explains that warning system. If you are kind of like, well, I need some type of system to manage just chatter and blurting, that can be a really good system.
Well, and I love that system too, Linda, because it's quiet. And so speaking of that personality that's not super assertive, it's a very quiet, subtle way of handling chatter. So
Yes, yeah, that's such a good point. Yeah, because in the warning system, you're not really saying anything. You're just
yeah.
giving a warning in a visible way, and you've told
Hmm.
them what that means. And so, yeah, it doesn't require. Yeah, it works really well with a not a loud personality. That's such a good
Yeah.
point. So I hope that some of these ideas were helpful for you. I'm going to point you to a few more resources, but before we do that, Ashley, any final advice or encouragement?
Just know that there are solutions and they're going to vary, but there are ways that you can totally tackle this and kind of take back your classroom. So don't give up. Look at the resources at the bottom because we have tons. And if you're still needing help, we're definitely here because I swear the best thing as a teacher is just brainstorming with other teachers. So feel free to reach out.
Yes, absolutely. And if you didn't listen to last week's episode where we talked about the 10 commandments of classroom management, definitely go back and check out that episode. We'll link to it. That has a lot of just really practical classroom management to-dos that you might want to look into, or you can head directly to watch the series on YouTube. It's at teachfortheheart.com/playlist. Well, thank you guys for being with us. If you would like to have your question on one of these podcasts in the future, these Teacher Talk podcasts, simply go to teachfortheheart.com/teacher talk and submit your question there. This episode is brought to you in partnership with the Herzog Foundation. All views and opinions are our own and don't necessarily reflect those of the Herzog Foundation. I look forward to being with you again soon. In the meantime, remember, God is at work in you and through you, and He's using you to make a difference. Keep your eyes on Him and teach for the heart.